There's a major opportunity right now to build a thriving business on Amazon selling brand name products that already have a high demand. In this video today, I'm gonna break down exactly how to do so with Amazon FBA and the wholesale model, even if you don't have any prior experience selling online. If you're new here, consider subscribing down below to get more videos just like this. And if this is our first time meeting, my name's Andrew Juarez, and in this channel, Single Brain Media, we bring you the latest strategies, tactics, and hacks to help you dominate e-commerce. So if you're watching this video, then you've probably already heard about how many people are becoming millionaires literally overnight by selling a few products on Amazon. And sure, while this can sound extremely appealing and may be true for a few select sellers, unfortunately, it's not the reality for thousands of new sellers that are signing up daily on Amazon's marketplace. That's because finding success on Amazon can be pretty simple, but it definitely isn't easy. And with so much information online, it makes it super difficult on how to actually get clear on how to build a profitable and scalable business on this platform. And so before we get started and we get deep into, how to get started with Amazon wholesale, I want to make sure that we're on the same page in regards to how the business works. So Amazon is not only a platform for consumers to buy products, but it's also a platform for people like you and myself to have the opportunity to build a thriving e-commerce business. It's literally one of the quickest ways that you and I can get started in e-commerce, because unlike the typical roadblocks that we would face opening an online store similar to like a Shopify store or something like that, you already have all the customers on Amazon's platform and they're actively looking to purchase products. So what makes this opportunity even better is that you literally don't even have to touch a box to fulfill any of your inventory. That's because of the Amazon FBA program. So FBA stands for Fulfilled by Amazon. So what this program actually is that when a customer purchases a product from Amazon's marketplace, you already have all your inventory in Amazon's warehouses, so they charge you a specific fee to then go ahead and fulfill that item to the customer. But what makes this incredible is that you literally don't have to do anything after you're purchasing your inventory from your suppliers, which makes this very passive in terms of building out this business. So simple enough, right? But before we actually go ahead and get started with selling on Amazon with wholesale, we should have a clear understanding of the other business models just to ensure that this is the one that best aligns to your personal skills. So now let's take a look at the other models on Amazon. The first business model that you have on Amazon is retail and online arbitrage. With this strategy, you're essentially looking to purchase products from a big box retailer that you can then go and sell on Amazon's marketplace for slightly higher. And what you're profiting is that difference. So with online and retail arbitrage, the margins are insane and it can be a great way for people to get started. But what I found is ultimately it's very difficult to sustain at scale, because as you grow the business, you're going to run into bottlenecks which drastically dig into your profit margins, especially with how much time you're spending with that business model, going and sourcing at different places. And obviously online arbitrage can be a little bit more passive, but there are those limitations with purchasing from there as well. So the next strategy that we're going to discuss is private label. Private label is when you're essentially buying products from a manufacturer overseas or here in the States, but what you're looking for with private label is to create your own brand. So the benefit of private label is that you're able to essentially create your own value and you set the prices. But there's actually a ton that goes into creating a successful brand on and off Amazon. So before you actually go into a private label, I would highly recommend that you have a better understanding of e-commerce as a whole, because building a successful brand on Amazon takes just as much effort as it does as building a brand off of Amazon does. So that brings us to the biggest opportunity that I see on Amazon moving forward in 2020, and that's the wholesale model. But before we go ahead and get into how to take advantage of this crazy opportunity, I'm curious to find out if you're actually looking at building out this business, what's the first thing that you're looking forward to once you actually build it out? So make sure to drop a comment down below and let me know. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get started with the 7 steps to efficiently build out this Amazon wholesale business without ever having any previous experience selling online. Before we get started, I want to make sure that you have a few things in order so that way you don't waste any time. So you want to make sure that you set up a professional Amazon seller account. You also want to make sure that you have a sales tax ID number and you have your resale certificate. You also want to make sure that you spend time developing a professional email. So you don't want to send them emails from a Gmail account or Hotmail or Yahoo. You want to make sure that you set up your own domain when you're reaching out to suppliers and brands. And finally, probably one of the most important things is you want to have access to capital as you build and scale this business. So step 1 in building out your business on Amazon with the wholesale model is making sure that you have a clear understanding of what this overall business looks like. Too many people come into the business model without having a clear understanding of what their strategy is moving forward, and this can quickly get away from you. There's tons of people that invest thousands of dollars that are losing it every day because they don't have a clear understanding of what they're planning to do with the business. They don't understand where they have to execute. They don't understand where the pitfalls are and where the roadblocks are that you're going to run into. So that way that you can have a plan to, mitigate those risks as you run into them. So you want to have a clear understanding of the business because you want to also be able to lean into your strengths as an entrepreneur. And what that'll do is as you start to scale out, you'll start to identify weaknesses that you personally have as an entrepreneur. And then what you can do is bring in virtual assistants and start to outsource those tasks and those things that you need to help support and scale your business, but that you don't necessarily have the skills for. But within the wholesale business model, it's very easy to start, outsourcing different portions of it to whether it's employees here within the States, whether it's employees overseas. There's multiple different opportunities that you could take advantage of as you start building out this business. But the only thing that really matters before you get started is having a clear understanding of what your plan is moving forward. So step 2 is really identifying how you want to fulfill your products to your customers. And there's multiple reasons why you're going to want to move forward with the FBA program. And as I discussed earlier, this is when Amazon is fulfilling your products to the customer once that customer goes onto the website and purchases the product. Because Amazon is doing all of the heavy work for you, it allows you to focus on your business and it allows you to focus on growth. So step number 3 is actually moving forward with sourcing products. One of the main things we want to remember when we're sourcing is we want to look for products that have high demand but low competition because we want to make sure that we're able to get our share of the buy box when we're actually selling the product. So as we go here, I actually went over to the Amazon bestsellers page, and what I typically like to do with most new sellers is essentially show them this page because it shows you how much volume the products that are in the top 100 actually are moving per month. So if we go ahead and look into any category, you can select any category, but for this example, we'll go ahead and look at baby. So as you'll notice that as we selected the baby category, it went ahead and populated the top 100 products that are selling within that category. Here on the left-hand side, we can still niche down and go a little bit further to see other products that are, within that same category, but in a different niche. So you want to make sure as you start sourcing products online that you specialize in a specific category as you get started. The most common problem new sellers have when they get started is looking for multiple products in multiple different categories, but that doesn't allow you to have a solid understanding of the market that you're competing in. So as you're looking through the products, you want to make sure to stay away from products that are sold by Amazon as a new seller. And you also want to make sure that there's multiple FBA sellers on the listing. That way you know it's not a private label brand. So as I went ahead and selected a product within the baby category, I am not necessarily looking at this product itself to go ahead and source. What I want to do, and this is a little bit more advanced, but I like to look at the other sellers that are on the listing. I look for sellers that have relatively lower ratings in terms of not 3,000, not 6,000, not 20,000. You want to make sure when you're starting off to look for sellers that have 1,000, 1,500, anything around that range because what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to select one. So this one has 71 total ratings. And once we get over to the next page, we want to go ahead and take a look at the products that they're actually selling. So now I can take a full look at their inventory and see other products that they're selling within that same category and within that same niche. And what that does, it gives me an idea of products that I can then go and sell. So what I would go ahead and do is look for products within this seller's storefront, and I want to go ahead and find the products that are going to meet my personal criteria. Once I find these products, I want to go ahead and start to reach out to the supplier or the brand directly. And that leads us into our next step, which is contacting suppliers, step 4. So you'll want to focus your time on creating an efficient system to consistently reach out to suppliers and brands, because this is the single biggest factor in effectively scaling your business. There's a direct correlation from the amount of contacts that you're making to suppliers to the amount of opportunities that you'll be able to find. Make sure that you're taking time to reach out to individuals that actually make the decisions about their wholesale partnerships so that you can actually go and open accounts, because that is very difficult if you don't have a plan moving into that process. So a key point to note is that consistently opening up new accounts that are profitable is an art. There's no one way to do it, and there's many different ways to approach it. So again, lean on your personal strengths when building relationships with brands. Depending on the brand you're contacting, there's hundreds of people reaching out to them at the same time. So you want to make sure that you're able to set yourself apart from everybody else that's doing the same thing. So step 5 is actually moving forward with inventory. So now that you've been able to open up an account, now you got to get their catalog and their price list so you can go ahead and check their inventory against Amazon's marketplace. So once you've gone through their catalog and you found a product that you want to move forward with, then you'll go ahead and start placing your initial orders. Remember, there's multiple different minimum order quantities that different brands and suppliers have. So some can range from initial orders of $500 to $5,000. It just really depends on the brand and supplier that you're working with. So you want to make sure that you have a wide variety of suppliers and brands that you're currently working with in order to get the best possible price on the products that you're looking for, as well as to develop long-term relationships with multiple different brands. So once you've gone ahead and purchased your inventory, you're going to want to make sure to get that sent over to a prep center. So what's a prep center? There's a tons of questions around this. So typically with wholesale suppliers, they're going to want to make sure that they're actually working with legitimate businesses. So with retail arbitrage and online arbitrage and even private label, you're able to get those products sent over to your house. But when you're working with large brands, they want to make sure that their partners that they're approaching this business with have a solid understanding, as well as have a solid business under them. So what I ended up doing was utilizing a prep center, which allowed me to initially seem that much larger with the brands that I was working with. In addition, it just takes the load off of doing any shipping at all, which allows me to focus on building out my business. Oftentimes, the brands that we're working with will send the products directly to Amazon. Though in the case that they don't, then you need a prep center in between that process for them to prep the product and pack it and ship it over to Amazon FBA. And one of the biggest factors that you need to look at when growing this business is your time, because really understanding the value of your time is going to allow you to scale much more efficiently. So you don't want to spend hours learning how to ship products to Amazon. You don't want to spend hours prepping and packing that product. So spend time focusing on the relationship, spend time focusing on your business, spend time on focusing on your numbers so that you can actually understand how to run the business efficiently without having to go ahead and learn another skill set and spend all that additional time prepping that product. So finally, that leads us into step 7, which is selling your product. So growing your account involves maintenance. It includes tracking your inventory, reordering products when you're ready. You'll also want to make sure that you're reviewing any policy warnings or notifications that are coming up. You want to make sure that you're answering any customer emails and reviewing feedback. There's a ton of things that you can really take a look at when maintaining your account. But the most important thing to remember is the value of your time. So what I ended up doing is I ended up outsourcing this with people that were specialized in this area of the business to allow me to focus on what I personally do best, which is building relationships with the brands that I work with in order to provide them the value that I end up providing them as we work in our partnerships. So, you want to make sure that as you're looking at all of these steps to really understand the full business model and what it really takes to be successful on Amazon. This is not easy. It takes hard work, but it's definitely possible. And it's one of the most passive ways to make income online. So let's go over the 7 steps once again, just to review. Step 1, we're going to get clear on the overall process before we get started. Step 2, you want to make sure to choose your fulfillment method. Step 3 is finding the products that you want to sell. Step 4 is then going and contacting those suppliers and brands. Step 5 is purchasing your inventory. Step 6 is sending your products over to Amazon by way of Prep Center. And step 7 is finally to sell your products. And at the end of the day, I want you to keep this in mind, that great things take time, they take patience, and it takes hard work. But if you're willing to commit to the process and truly give it your all, then there's no limitations on how fast or how far you can take this business. And if you want to take a deeper dive on growing your wholesale business on Amazon, I'm hosting a completely free 7-day challenge on how to get extremely clear on how to start or scale your Amazon wholesale business in just 7 days. I'll make sure to put a link in the description down below. So I just want to thank you guys again for watching. Make sure to subscribe down below to get more videos just like this.